Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my overview of Age of Mythology Retold. So for those not across it, I do overviews on the channel. It's where I have a look at the first 2 hours of a game because that's the Steam refund window. Steam says you can make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not in that time, and I would broadly agree. And so that 20 hours in, you're probably not going to change your mind about how you felt 2 hours in. So it's a short, punchy video. We'll keep it around 10 minutes. I'll give you the broad strokes info, and then you can make up your mind on your own. So I suppose lay down the foundations. Age of Mythology was originally released way back in the day, and I believe, as best as I can understand, it was sort of a spin-off of Age of Empires. And I didn't really have much to do with this game at all. For whatever reason, I think maybe younger Scarlet, and it's hard to remember, saw it as derivative. Not that I was a purist for Age of Empires, but I just liked it like a normie did. I played the campaigns, I enjoyed the different sequels, but I wasn't particularly interested, at least as a pitch, to play some spin-off Age of Empires based on mythology. Jump forward to now, I love this game. This is fantastic, and obviously my tastes have changed from since I was a young, naive idiot. Now I'm just an old idiot. But yeah, so it is it's called Retold. Is it a remake? Is it a remaster? It sits in between, right? The lines are blurred on what is and isn't these things. It's not just some HD up-res. Like, I believe they've gone in and redone a lot of the models, and it looks really cool, man. It's really nice to see an RTS, even if this is technically old, but being released in current year, that really is fun and looks great. So I really like all the art, all the characters. And again, I'm coming into this with a fresh set of eyes, arguably a bit like the younger audience. So if you're a veteran, I don't know, maybe you're going to hate it because it's popular, hate everything on principle, but maybe this makes your day. A chance to play this game all these years later and looking much prettier. The core game underneath, from what I understand, is pretty much the same. However, there are a lot of quality of life tools that they've implemented. Some of them aren't really working very well, and it seems like they need patching, but I like where they're at, especially when, well, we don't get a lot of RTSs, so it's always fun seeing what a modern RTS looks like, but we had, oh god, what was it called? Stormgate, I think is what it's called, where I basically took that to task because, well, I didn't like it. It didn't really work, and they were trying to implement some automation mechanics that didn't quite work so well. However, what's here seems to be a better way of doing it, to compare and contrast the two, because I feel like that might be inevitable if you're a fan of the genre. So to lead with that, you've got some automation around. You can right-click and auto-cast, auto-queue a lot of like troops, villages, whatever, and you can slap a waypoint. Now, I could be wrong, but it felt like even if I didn't waypoint the hero in a blob, you know, because anyone who plays these games knows you make a blob, you control one, you bind them to a squad. But I believe the rally point was less about locking to the individual unit per se and more the actual squad. I could be wrong, but that's what it felt like. So you could pretty much just say, all right, just build archers forever, and go find me bloody main hero and follow him around. Heracles or Ajax or whoever I happen to have in that mission. Now, as cool as that is as a tool, you can get yourself in a bit of a pickle if you just automate everything, because it's not like it regulates it either. So you might have, I had huge wood shortage problems, to be perfectly honest, probably because I was automating fishing ships and I couldn't get more than 50 wood because it would just turn it into a ship. So the tools are there, and they help ease you in, and they're a welcome addition, but if you're not on top of your economy, it's sort of dangerous. One of the more inspired things, which tragically seems to have some issues, and I hope they patch it, is this idea that you can set economic behavioral presets against your villager population. Geez, that sounds like a mouthful. Essentially, there are three main goods in this. I guess faith is a fourth, but it's kind of its own thing. But let's just pretend there's three. You've got meat and food, which, again, this is very much in the fundamentals, a bit of a reskinning of Age of Empires. So you've got the food systems, go and harvest meat from animals, bury bushes, build farms and work them. You've got gold and you've got wood, and they're both kind of similar. Harvest them, take them to a drop-off point. So essentially you can load a preset. It's very easy and accessible, and the tutorial explains it quite well, where the idea is that it will balance your villager population on a ratio between the three. And so you can just go a default where it's a 3-way split. And the idea is that as you build units, they will stop. They'll think for a couple of seconds. I watched them. And then they will go to fill the appropriate tasks to try and fill out that section of the pie graph balance. Ingenious, brilliant, fantastic, until I realized that it was a bit broken, especially when it came to like wood economy for whatever. I gave it a quick Google, but I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it would seem the consensus is there is something wrong. The community is a little bit miffed about it. It might have to do with the radius of what the villager checks they can interact with, which is unusual to me because it seems to be a world setting, right? If I've got multiple little town centers, I'm still setting one preset for the whole map. But anyway, so if you feel my disappointment, then that is actually what's going on. It seems so promising and wonderful, and even as I started explaining it to you, you may have perked up and thought, yeah, this is exactly what I want, especially if you sit in my category, a bit of an older boy. I fell off around StarCraft 2, right when a lot of people fell off RTSs, where, you know, it became more about competitive APM and stuff that doesn't appeal to someone like me, a normie that just enjoys playing a campaign. Blob goes smash, build up your base. Like, I'm not really worried about min-maxing, and it's good because some recent releases get that and some don't. Stormfront being the example, or Stormgate or whatever bloody hell, who cares? I can't even remember. But even going back to Age of Empires 4, and while I didn't spend a huge amount of time on that, and I know I'm getting a little bit off tangent, but maybe you would want to check that out if you find this interesting, because that goes down a bit more of a history channel, documentarian. You know, they have these loaded in videos with very high production, explaining all the historical battles, and that absolutely appealed to me like you wouldn't believe. But anyway, just put that in the back of your mind. So this is cool. I've covered essentially the main changes as I understand them. At its core, you play as a different sort of faction of mythological significance. I think you've got like Norse, Greek. I've been playing Atlantean, which is kind of cool. So it's doing this alternate history. I'm helping Agamemnon Troy, and they've sent my great army host of Atlantis there, and I'm enjoying this weird alternate history, or I guess depends how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole. Maybe it's not an alternate history. Maybe the flat earthers are right. But for my time with it, I've kind of just tumbled into the campaign and enjoyed it immensely. I haven't really been drawn to the other modes, but they're what you'd expect, right? Skirmish, multiplayer. There seem to be some other sort of little scenario modes as well, but the campaign seems pretty robust, and I've barely scratched the surface. Mechanically, it is pretty much just Age of Empires, but all the units are so cool. Not that this, I shouldn't even say but, there's nothing wrong with the units in Age of Empires, but that game does kind of, to a point, adhere to more of a historically accurate. I say that as I think about having 200 bloody catapults or 50 elephants just running over cunts. But I think you get what I mean. This really leans into the mythos, and you've got some wonderful creatures. I got this weird like seahorse dolphin bloody hybrid thing to go scouting. I've got Pegasuses, the Pegasi, I guess, flying around. Cyclopses and Minotaurs, and I ran into these like bird-headed dudes because they've got Egypt in there, so they've got all of that mythology. So they've just slapped together all the favourite mythologies of yesteryear and then gone all in. I think in the tutorial they gave me a bloody Hydra with one head, but as long as it kept fighting, it got more heads. So there's something, you can hear it in my voice, there's something quite enrapturing about all of that, and just the fantastical element taken to the nth degree. So yeah, I'm gushing. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun, and it's my pleasure to show it to you. It's not technically out for another like couple of days, at least at the time of this video, but as you might have noticed, and I still don't know how I feel about it, Steam's doing like advanced access or whatever you want to call it. So long and short of it, if you've got the throw around money, which often my audience does, older boys that buy a game here or there and it's more about economy of time than of the wallet, then yeah, stop this video, tab out, and go to Steam. You can buy it now and play it now. And like I said, there's an issue with their kind of centerpiece villager management preset thing, but surely that's going to get patched and fixed. So I guess that's my main, maybe you don't need to do that, but at the same time, you don't need it to play the game. I'm working around it just fine. Anyway, Age of Mythology, Retold. Appeal for veterans with nostalgia? Surely. People that have none, like me? Absolutely. And given the sort of lukewarm releases that we've had around the RTS space, this is wonderful. And I'm very, very much looking forward to playing some more. Anyway, team, I'll just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.